Hey guys, Big Bertie again here, back with another Monster in My Pocket rarity video. Now last time out we looked at Series 1 Neons, so it makes sense this time to look at Series 2, another really popular series from the Monster in My Pocket line. Once again, I've spoken to fellow collectors about their thoughts and opinions on rarity. I've trawled through forum threads, looked at needs lists that have been posted on my Facebook page, the Mint Market. Also get lots of questions coming to me through my Instagram account at Big Bertie about Series 2 rarity, so it makes sense to do this video. So a quick overview of Series 2. Unlike Series 1, which had 48 figures, Series 2 only consisted of 24 figures in 4 colours: green, orange, magenta pink and cyan blue. And for the first time in the line's history, they actually went above 25 point monsters. So for example, they introduced 30 point monsters into the toy line. Now, before we get into the top 5, in the last video I gave a few figures some honourable mentions. This time out, sort of in the same vein, I'm going to talk about 2 figures that have actually fallen away from the top 5 most rare figures when once they were considered to be quite rare or uncommon. So the first one we'll start with is the green ancient Gorgon. For quite a while at one point this was considered to be a rare figure or an uncommon figure. Now I'm not saying that it's really easy to get, unlike most of the other ones in this series, but it's certainly not in the top 5 most rare figures, and it's one that, again, I've had several of. Most of the big collectors have had quite a few of this figure in their collections over the years, but it definitely at one point was questionable about how rare it was. But I'd say with quite some certainty now that it's not a rare figure. Possibly uncommon at times, but it's certainly not a rare figure. The green ancient Gorgon. Move that one out of the way. Now the next one is an interesting one because this figure, the blue Ganesha, again was considered to be a rare figure at one point in time, but of late it shows up a lot more often either on eBay or through private sales. So Ganesha in blue I'm not putting in the top 5 most rare Series 2 figures anymore. At one stage lots of people found it difficult to get, but it shows up quite often now, especially on eBay, in mixed lots or sometimes on its own. I've also seen recently 24 packs that have included the blue Ganesha in them, so again it's not that difficult to get if you keep your eyes peeled on eBay or if you go through private sales on Instagram or through Facebook. I'm going to talk a lot more about Ganesha later, but I'll move him out of the way and we'll start in the number 5 position, the 5th most rare figure in Series 2, and that is the orange Ganesha. Now before I say any more about this, it's also worth me bringing in the orange Hern the Hunter, which I'll just place there for a moment. Now the reason I started with orange Ganesha being the 5th most rare figure in Series 2 and then brought over the orange Hern was in fact that these 2 figures are, or were I should say, only available in the United States. They were mail away figures through the SpaghettiOs line and they were only available to people in America. So anybody outside of America that wanted to get these had to go through American sellers. For some reason though, the orange Hern the Hunter, even though he was available through the same mail away promotion, this one seems to crop up a lot more than the orange Ganesha. And again, for those collectors that weren't able to get it through the SpaghettiOs promotion or are outside of America, one of the things about this figure is it will cost quite a bit, not just in the shipping but to get the figure itself, because you're having to look in America for it. So for example, myself and other UK collectors, we've had to either look on eBay and buy it from American sellers or buy it privately from American sellers. So that's why I'm putting orange Ganesha in the 5th position. Again, if you disagree with me, let me know in the comments. The order 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is up for debate, of course it is, but there's no denying that these 5 figures are the most rare out of the series. So number 5, the 5th place goes to the orange Ganesha figure there, the SpaghettiOs Mail Away. And again, I'm going to talk a little bit more about Ganesha at the end of this list. So now we move into the 4th spot. The 4th spot goes to the magenta, the pink Ganesha. Now again, at certain times, people could argue that orange is harder to find than pink. If you live in America though, there's a good chance that you'll be able to find the orange Ganesha more often than the pink one. The pink one's a very difficult figure to find, and for some reason, at one stage, pink and blue Ganesha, quite similar in rarity. Nowadays, it's much harder to come across the pink Ganesha than it is the blue Ganesha. And again, I haven't seen the pink Ganesha in any 24 pack boxes where I have the blue. And a lot of collectors I know that have completed Series 2 like I have with all the figures and all the colours, they found this figure quite tricky to get, and I think it really deserves a place in the top 4. It's a 20-point monster, as you can see on the back there, and what's rather unusual is a lot of people, especially on eBay, as usual, seem to think that green Ganesha is a rare figure. Green Ganesha isn't a rare figure, it's the most common of the Ganesha colours, but there is a reason why people who aren't really big Monster in My Pocket collectors think that Ganesha in any colour, even green, is rare, and I'll come on to that a little bit later on. So the 4th spot goes to the pink Ganesha. Now, the top 3, this next one that's coming in the 3rd spot, at one stage could have easily been number 1, but in recent times it's appeared a little bit more than position 1 and position 2, but even so, it's hard to find, doesn't come up very often, whether it be on eBay or on private sales, and when it does, it costs a fair bit to pick up, especially if you get into a bidding war with somebody else on eBay that needs this to complete their set, and that is the green dragon. An absolutely fantastic figure in a fantastic colour. Green dragon, if I turn it round, he is a 30-point monster, so higher than, for example, Great Beast or Behemoth of Series 1. Now what's interesting about Green Dragon is nobody seems to be sure how this figure was available. It's not in any of the 24 pack boxes. It doesn't appear to have come from 12 packs. It certainly didn't come from 4 packs. What we believe, or where we believe it came from, is the Monster in My Pocket Series 2 Cauldron set. Now, I'll talk more about the Cauldron set later, but there's lots of theories going around that this figure was available in the Cauldron sets. Now, a specialist set like that, a large set that a child would have either had to saved up for or had for a birthday or a Christmas present, it's obvious that there weren't going to be as many of those around as there were, for example, the 12 pack boxes here or the 24 pack boxes that you can see in the background here. So that might explain why there's not many of these about if it was only included in that Monster in My Pocket Cauldron set, and again I'll talk more about that set a little bit later on. So the Green Dragon is taking the 3rd spot here, a very difficult figure to get still, and lots of people still need this as their final or last but 1 or 2 or 3 figures to complete their full colour set. So I'll move him out of the way. Now position 1 and 2, I changed these several times. It's almost impossible to choose a 2. They could have easily both been in first place, but I've had to make a decision because I want it to be a top 5. So in the number 2 spot, the 2nd rarest figure in Series 2, in my opinion and the opinion of other collectors, and based on what people have struggled to get over the years and have had to pay the most money for, is going to be the cyan magenta, the blue Jabberwock, the cyan Jabberwock there in blue. Now this figure, the blue Jabberwock, is incredibly difficult to get. If you've got it in your collection, let me know in the comments below, where did you get it from? Again, you can get these on eBay, whether it be America, the UK, private sales, but the Jabberwock is a 30-point monster, so amongst the strongest in Series 2, and in this particular colour it's just very difficult to find, and when you do find one, you either have to pay a lot for it or end up getting into a bidding war. So I'm keeping the blue Jabberwock as second rarest figure in Series 2. So for anybody that knows Series 2 well, you've probably worked out what's coming next and what's going to be in the top spot. The top spot, after much deliberation, I'm giving to the pink Jabberwock, the magenta Jabberwock that you can see there. Both the pink and the blue, incredibly hard to find, always have been, but for me, the pink Jabberwock just takes it. When I've looked at people's needs lists over time, going back a couple of years, it tends to be either the blue Jabberwock or the green or the pink Jabberwock that people need to complete. But just pipping it to the post in terms of the one that people struggle to find the most would be pink Jabberwock. If you have this figure, brilliant. If you plan to sell it, again, you can throw it on eBay if you want to do that, or you can join my Facebook group, the Mint Market, and there's probably going to be people on there who are looking for this figure. I would say it's the most uncommon, the rarest figure in Series 2. Now, I said to you earlier that I'm going to talk a little bit about something else once we've gone past this top 5. So first of all, I'll do a recap. In 5th place, we said it would be orange Ganesha, sometimes alongside his mail away partner, orange Herne the Hunter there. Then we moved on to the pink Ganesha there in the 4th spot. 3rd spot I gave to the green dragon. 2nd spot I gave to the cyan blue Jabberwock, and 1st place I gave to the pink Jabberwock. However, and there's a big but coming here, I'm going to move these out of the way. After the initial release of Series 2 in the UK, there was one figure in particular that caused quite a lot of controversy, and that was the Ganesha figure that I mentioned earlier. Now, for those of you that don't know this, Ganesha is a Hindu deity, and within the Hindu community, this figure caused some offence. So what was decided by Matchbox is that they would remove this figure from the second wave of the Series 2 release in order to prevent any further action being taken against the company or upsetting any other people from the Hindu community. So Ganesha was taken out of the 24 packs, and oddly enough, so was Herne the Hunter. And when they took this figure out, and I still don't know exactly why they took this figure out, but part of me thinks because Ganesha and Herne came as the SpaghettiOs mail away in the US, maybe there was some thoughts that, well, if we're taking this one out, we'll take this one out as well. They replaced Ganesha and Herne the Hunter with 2 sculpts from Series 1. Now, I don't know why they chose these particular sculpts, but they did, and they replaced them with Ghost from Series 1 in that green, or lime green as lots of collectors call it, and the magenta, the pink, and they also replaced it with Cerberus in the lime green and Cerberus in the pink. And the reason I've kept these away from the top 5 is because if I was going to include those in the top 5, then these figures would more than likely come top of the list and push all the others down, because to get these Ghost sculpts and Cerberus sculpts in the lime green and the pink is very, very difficult to do. One of the hardest reasons, or one of the biggest reasons people mistake and find it difficult to get these two, is because they often get mistaken for neon green from Series 1. They're a brighter green, a more vivid, a more lime green, and then these two obviously stand out in lots. They sell for a good chunk. They are very, very difficult to find, so if you have these figures, let me know in the comments below. Now, once these figures were put into the boxes to replace Ganesha and Herne the Hunter, they obviously had to create a new box with a new plastic slot in each one to house these figures, and they even went the whole hog and altered the checklist here, you can see I've got a new Series 2 neon colours, but if I turn to the back, you can see we've got Series 2 figures. Oddly enough, they're not called the proper names. You've got Crocodile Man and Forest Dweller and Sea Maiden. They're not the official names, but at the list at the bottom here, look, you've got Ghost and you've got Cerberus. So those figures ended up coming in to replace Ganesha because of the controversy it caused amongst the Hindu community and Herne the Hunter. Now, moving on a little bit, I mentioned earlier the Monster in My Pocket cauldron that potentially had the green dragon in it. Within that set, you also received some glow-in-the-dark Monster in My Pocket figures. Now, those figures are quite hard to come by, especially ones that aren't really stained, but again, they introduced Ghost and Cerberus figures for the Mint Cauldron in glow-in-the-dark. And if I quickly grab those, because I forgot to get them out, we've got a glow-in-the-dark and Cerberus and a glow-in-the-dark Ghost, which are here. So I put one there and one there. They were included in the Monster in My Pocket cauldron alongside the regular Series 2 sculpts in glow-in-the-dark, which were Ancient Gorgon, Elbow Witch, Dryad, Undying, Ecto Phantom and Bloody Bones. So those figures were included in glow-in-the-dark, plus the Ghost and plus the Cerberus. Now, here's an interesting picture that I'm hoping will show up on camera. This is a picture from the Monster in My Pocket cauldron set, and if I scroll there you can see it says contents 24 Series 2 monsters. That little triangle in the corner says 6 glow-in-the-dark monsters. However, for some strange reason, the monsters that are shown on here are not actually the ones that were all released. And this one in particular, I'll try and zoom in a little bit, that is a glow-in-the-dark Ganesha. Now, that figure was never released. Maybe it exists somewhere, maybe somebody's got one. If you have, then please comment below if you have got that figure, but nobody's ever seen it. It looked like it was just included in promotional shots, so if it was, it must have existed at some point, unless some very old photoshopping was done back in the 90s, but nobody's ever seen that figure, and I don't think we ever will, sadly. So those were the Series 2 re-releases that I mentioned for Ghost and Cerberus, and I think that pretty much covers everything for Series 2. We've gone through the top 5, I've talked about the re-release and why that took place. So again, if you agree or disagree with my list, drop a comment below, and hopefully I'll catch you all next time on my next video. So thanks for watching.